And so now for something a little bit closer to home, or at least a little bit closer to my home, our next speaker is actually beaming in all the way from Melbourne. I actually first met Warwick a couple of years ago, and we bonded over some AI-designed biscuits that I had baked for a breakfast keynote that I was delivering. And at the time we got chatting afterwards, he told me a bit about his work at AG Coombs. He didn't tell me, though, about his secret double life that he's been leading as the founder of the BIMWeb Oz initiative and the BMA Forum. When I asked Warwick what he loved most about lockdown, he told me that he's actually set out on a mission to ride every rail trail in Victoria. So far, he's invested in a road bike, a mountain bike, and a hybrid bike. But he told me that all he's achieved so far is buying 3 bikes that are way better than he is. So please welcome Warwick Stannus to the screen for his presentation on the Drive Towards Digital Standardisation.
Thanks very much, Simon. In today's presentation, I'm going to be running through some of the updates that we've been making to our BIM and digital standards since our last forum, and also just take you quickly through some of the progress we've been making in terms of our digital content strategies and template development. A2K and will provide some more detail about those initiatives tomorrow, but I'll just provide a broad perspective on the progress that we're making overall. Like many organisations, this year we've faced a few challenges dealing with a pandemic, but we are excited about the progress that we're making, and we're really committed to the road ahead in terms of supporting the AEC sector make this much needed digital transformation. In terms of our strategy, last year we really embraced this concept of AEC 4.0. And I think, like many of the other presentations at last year's forum, the discussions really moved from just a focus on BIM to digital transformation, and also, as Josh mentioned today, that really big part of the change that's needed around organisational change and embracing innovation. So, you know, Alan Waha in his presentation, you know, really captured that move from BIM to transformation, and really the importance of purpose and innovation culture. So our strategies haven't changed. We're still very much committed to those. I think one of the things that we did identify last year that there is a lot happening in our sector, and in some sense, digital transformation and disruption are another thing that we've got to deal with. But also in terms of digital transformation, you know, this is going to play an increasingly important role in terms of addressing many of these other issues that we're facing. I think, like most organisations this year, you know, the initial thing has been to make the immediate response to the change in circumstance around obviously the pandemic, and then to make sure that we're protecting our core business and making sure that we'll come out the other side. But what's really clear, I think, at the moment is that businesses are needing to focus on the road ahead. And certainly our initiative is looking to support those businesses make the most of the opportunities that are going to come over the next few years. What we do know is that many governments are looking for a construction-led recovery. And what's really important is that for businesses in our sector to be ahead of the curve and to make the most of the opportunity. And obviously a lot of people are really thinking about this at the moment. So Kyle mentioned this move to construction to production, and you know, there was certainly a really great paper prepared by Sumit and Alan Waha in terms of this construction to production, and really capturing some of the innovative work that's been done by Mace and Katira and many other firms. I think one of the things that Kyle mentioned, and certainly Alain mentioned is that, you know, we don't want to confuse this sort of model with producing really bland environments. We've got to make sure that we've got a social purpose, and that what we create through this move to a production type focus really still creates great environments for us to live and work in. Where we have seen this move from construction to production is certainly in the data centre sector. And you can see when you look at that sector how that has standardised its design and some of the real benefits that have been delivered in terms of quality outcomes within the large data centre construction environment, and also what they've been able to achieve in terms of modularisation and speed of construction. So the data centre sector, I think, provides us with almost a lighthouse in terms of where we see the future of construction moving to. We're also seeing, certainly within Australia, a lot of people thinking about digital deliverables, and you know, in Australia we do have a very concentrated property ownership structure, particularly within commercial construction, and many of our large commercial property owners are now really focused on digital completion of projects. And I think, you know, the thing now is that whatever major commercial project you're starting, you need to be thinking about what that digital completion looks like from the start. Others like Lendlease recently had their forum on autonomous buildings, and, you know, central to all of that is where they're moving their digital strategy, just not in terms of construction, but also in terms of asset and facility management. And then we've got others like Era, who are really embracing this concept of digital transformation and implementing initiatives like their digital clearing hub. So there's a lot of things still happening in the industry, and you know, now's the time to embrace these changes and make the necessary step changes. Where we have also seen significant progress is in terms of certainly the service sector within Australia. So really you can't compete for these major commercial property portfolio maintenance contracts without having a really sophisticated analytics offering. And again, the amount of digital capability that's needed to support all of that is quite significant. And in some sense, service was a long way behind perhaps where construction was, but in some sense they've now almost jumped ahead of construction in terms of embracing analytics and the use of asset data to drive efficiency within their operations. So with that though, we do also have to be aware, and we've probably learnt some stuff from this pandemic around the law of unintended consequences. And I suppose in some sense, thinking about digital transformation, you really need a whole business perspective to make sure that ultimately you get everything that you're looking for. We've also done a lot of work in terms of our content delivery strategies, and ATK will be talking about that. High quality content, which has high quality data embedded within it, is really important. And the work that ATK and BIMEng are doing, I think will really support the initiative and our users in terms of leveraging digital strategies. What's interesting to see is that many of our suppliers within the sector are really embracing digital transformation, and you can see that in platforms like the Max app from Reece, which have really made significant headway in terms of their digital interfaces. And what's really pleasing about that is that they're embedding the asset and tagging codes that VBIS provides as part of the BIM FOS initiative. And so people are really getting it now, that the data to make that sort of move from production or construction to production, the data is really going to be pivotal in all of that. We're also seeing it in some of our leading product suppliers. We're again making a lot of progress in terms of loading that data into the content. What's really clear in 2020 is that those firms that are committing to a digital strategy are really consolidating their position in the market. So all of these early movers in terms of digital strategy are really doing very well. You know, it probably speaks to the industry as a whole that it's now time to embrace digital and make sure that you can work in that digital environment. We've also seen the Victorian Digital Asset Strategy embrace VBIS, which is fantastic, has the Queensland Government with their data and information guidelines. So Heshan tomorrow, who's talking about the VBIS component of BMAPIs, will be explaining what some of the benefits of embracing that asset classification strategy are. In terms of our major updates, you know, Josh did mention the importance before of getting a unified database. I guess in some sense we're looking to do that at an industry level, not just within a firm. This is our second revision of the piping specification, and you know, it's a pretty significant step forward in terms of just clarity around the workflow from design to fabrication. And it's really supporting, I think, the move to more off-site fabrication. We have seen over the last 2 to 3 years really widespread adoption of off-site fabrication with varying levels of maturity around that. But certainly the industry, after sort of looking at it for a while, is certainly making a transformational shift in that move to off-site fabrication. And this standard certainly playing an important role in that. We've also updated our sheet metal specification. We're now up to revision G, but this specification again has been really important in terms of underpinning efficiency through the design to fabrication workflow. And as Kyle mentioned, it is really important for designers to understand how things are going to be made and making sure that their design supports the overall project delivery process. In terms of the update to this specification, we've included some new specifications on stainless steel services and also weatherproofing of components. One of the things that I would say is that the standard does provide a really good overview of everything from the National Construction Code requirements down to individual service naming conventions. And for those involved in design or construction, these standards are really good standards to read and get a broad understanding of how all the standards and the National Construction Code come together. And they really simplify the overall approach to the specification and modelling of services. The other thing that we launched last year was our shared parameter scheme, and as far as I'm aware, this is really at the leading edge in terms of management of shared parameters and particularly the integration into the Revit platform. We're really excited about it, and we see that it's really pivotal to actually getting digital information moving through the supply chains, and particularly linking design to fabrication and also to procurement. You'll see this is just a section of, or selection of shared parameters, and what you can see there is that these parameters are really easy to read and understand. And, you know, for instance, we've got airflow is the design value, but airflow actual is the commissioned value. And for those parameters that it's a little bit uncertain as to actually what they're intended to be used for, each parameter has a description that goes with it. So we think this is really important moving forward. And what it actually underpins is product data templates and also scheduling. So for each component type, we'll have a developed product data template. And I think one of the things to understand with the product data template is that not everyone has, well, there's no expectation that the design is going to complete every parameter in the schedule, but that they'll fill out the parameters that they can at that particular point in terms of the design development. These parameters, you may look at them. For me, it's really obvious what their intent is. All of the parameters in these product data templates at some point will be needed to actually deliver a project fault-free and in a really efficient manner. So we really see the future as combining schedules and shared parameters, and there'll be a number of schedules that we think will underpin digital workflows. When you look at something like a NAT spec based specification, you know, the schedules are really, really important to defining exactly the requirements for the project. And so we want to see a move away from PDF to a scheduling based environment for technical data moving through projects. And we're already seeing, you know, organisations starting to respond to this type of workflow approach. The other thing that we think will happen over the longer term is that people will move from Excel-based worksheets, managing data within their organisation, to really getting data into the cloud, whether that's their private cloud or a shared cloud. But really, Excel might remain the interface, but really for most organisations, we think that the future, particularly those with integrated businesses that design, construct and maintain, that the data sitting in a private cloud will definitely be an important part of the future. So moving forward, we've got a development program that we're looking for to complete by the end of this year, particularly around the translation of the existing standards that we have to the new format. One of the things that we know is a gap at the moment is the unitary equipment specifications, and they're under development. And we've also got a lighting specification that Shannon's leading with a group of lighting specialists, which we're hoping to get out by the end of the year. The other thing that we're really focused on, and A2K and BIMEng will be talking about tomorrow, is high quality, high value content. And we think that where that's all heading, we're really excited about that. And we think that's really going to help move the industry forward. We're also seeing significant take-up of VBIS, this virtual building information system, asset tagging classification system, and that's really starting to gain traction. And so we're hoping to see significant progress moving forward in that. So just in terms of finishing up, and what we're looking for is that we really want to see people shifting their thinking from PDF exchanges to exchanging information through schedules, and a real strong focus on the use of shared parameters that have been defined to an industry standard. And the other thing that we really want to see is that we're seeing a lot of focus at the moment in terms of practical completion, digital practical completion for projects, but we really need a holistic view around digital asset management and ensuring that it's not just the new build that embraces that strategy, but building refurbishments and obviously tenancy fit outs and all those sorts of activities that occur through the life cycle. We'll know that we've got to a really mature place in terms of digital asset management when there is that whole of life sort of strategy around digital information. So with that, we're pretty excited about the progress that we've made despite the challenges, and we're pretty excited also just about the future. And I guess our message at the moment is that as an industry, we've got to get ahead of the curve and really maximise the opportunity that this pretty significant wave of new work coming through globally is going to present the industry in terms of making that digital transformation. So thanks very much.